Welcome to another episode of Out of the Pods. I'm Deepti.
And I'm Natalie. And this is such a sad day. It is our last episode of 2024.
I'm like, it's a happy day. What do you mean? We're moving forward.
I cannot believe the next time that we talk to our pod besties will be in 2025.
Yeah. I don't know where this year has gone. It feels like a blur.
It's gone so fast.
I can't even remember what I did this year. I guess that almost counts.
Because we didn't do anything this year. That's why you feel like we haven't done anything this year.
Yeah.
Beyond yapping on this podcast, I can't tell you one single accomplishment.
Yeah, I'm thinking back. I'm like, did I travel this year? Like, what did I do?
But those are the years I like the most where you don't really have any big goals. Well, maybe it's just like what I do is I never really set goals for myself. So everyone's talking about like New Year resolutions for 2025. And I was like, I don't really have any.
I haven't sat down and wrote any in a while. I feel like I normally do that, but the lore of New Year's Eve is so stupid to me now. And that sounds kind of crazy, but like I don't think you wake up like the next day, January 1st, and you're like, I'm going to be a different person today.
Or I'm going to try to like meet all these goals for 2025. Okay, here's my thing. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually don't like setting goals for myself. I think I have like things where it's like, oh, it would be really nice to accomplish this. But I realize when I set goals, I don't know, it's hard for me to like live life happily. Is that crazy to say?
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to set any expectations and just see how it goes.
Well, okay, actually I take that back. I guess I have small goals where, you know, it'd be nice to meet, but I don't put pressure on myself to put so much effort to meet them. Like one of my goals is to hydrate more in 2025. And I was like, I'm going to have more than 2 glasses of water a day.
Yeah, okay. I love this because I think when I first started doing like New Year's resolutions, I would always think so big, but they're very unrealistic to meet. And it's so much better to set smaller goals that are actually achievable and things that you're always been thinking about changing in yourself.
Yeah, they're easy.
Yes. And they're actually attainable and you can feel good about achieving it, you know?
And like no pressure if you don't achieve it. You know that feeling of falling off a bandwagon where you're trying to reach a goal and you realize it's, you know, it's just not happening. It's like kind of like weight loss and dieting.
Yes.
Where people will diet and then they say, oh, I fell off the bandwagon, and they like completely just go the other way. Like do everything that is the opposite of what they were doing to achieve their weight loss goal.
Yes.
That's why I don't set like really hard goals or put pressure on myself, because I don't like that feeling of like falling off the bandwagon. Like I'd rather just no pressure in life. Like if I make my goals, I do. If I don't, whatever.
Yes, exactly. I have been that person before where like New Year's comes around and you're like making so many big changes in your life that you just get burnt out by like my birthday, which is January 30th. I love how I just slipped that in there. But by that time, you just get so burnt out and like feel exhausted because you're not really changing the small habits that will lead to those big goals, you know?
Yeah.
I think one of my New Year's resolutions that I can actually meet is I just want to make sure that I'm seen more, meaning like go out more. Not like drinking or like that kind of vibe, just like go out and just be seen more.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I just spent so much time in my apartment this year.
I completely agree. I can go 3 days just in my apartment.
I know. We talked about this earlier. Sometimes when we'll chat, I'm like, oh my God, my voice sounds so terrible because it's the first time I've spoken all day.
Oh my gosh. So Deepti and I were on a phone call yesterday and I couldn't get any of the words out. Like I was like stumbling over my words and I go, I think it's because I haven't talked to someone for like 48 hours.
The worst part about it is we don't even realize it until we speak and we're like, oh, I think that's the first word I said. It's 3 p.m.
I know. I was like, this is the first time my mouth has moved.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, oh, yeah.
But even though we're shitting on goals, I do have some small achievable goals for 2025.
Yeah.
My first big one is I am going to say no to blind dates. I'm done. I'm done going on blind dates. I feel like I've ruined friendships because I've gone on so many blind dates with like friends of friends.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't go well. And then it's awkward when you see that friend to friend again.
Yeah. They're all fighting.
Like, and like someone can't be invited to a party. Like I went on a blind date with my friend's husband's partner.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not who.
Oh yeah, wait.
I messed up that connection.
I love how I was like, so how'd that go?
And I was like, it was like a polygamy situation. I'm just kidding. It was a blind date with my friend's husband's coworker, who's a partner at a law firm. That's what I was trying to get at.
I'm dead.
And this guy was confident. Like, he had such an ego to him. Like, he thought he was like the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh, sliced bread. I was like, who's
Have
sliced
you ever heard
bread?
that saying?
No.
Actually, did I say that wrong? It's that saying. It's like, it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, no, I've never heard that before in my life.
I feel like I'm saying it incorrectly.
Pod besties, please leave it in the comments.
Someone confirm if that's a real saying. I'm pretty sure it is, but maybe it's more of like an older saying.
Yeah, probably. I was like, I moved here when I was 8. That's got to be before that time period.
I feel like I've heard of it. Like, and anyways,
I was like,
well. He thought he was really cool.
Yeah.
And he was super accomplished, but you know me, I hate men like that.
Yeah.
Where they think so highly of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
In a way of like, I'm better than other people. I think it's okay to think highly of yourself, but if you think you're better than other people, I think that's a huge red flag and issue.
Yeah.
So we went on a date, and after the date, I texted him like, thank you so much, but I didn't feel a romantic connection. Like, hope we can stay friends. I'll see you around. He got so offended.
Ooh, because it's a hit to the ego.
And he like had some really straightforward reply, but he said something around the lines like, I hope I don't see you around. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And now it's really awkward because my friend and her husband will have parties and they have to choose. Like, does he come? Do I come? They need to make sure we aren't in the same room. And I'm fine seeing him. Well, after that, no, I'm not. But I was like, like, this made my life 20 times awkward. No to blind dates.
Yeah.
I don't trust them.
What an odd thing to say, because like he should have been aware that like obviously you guys have mutual friends.
And I was like,
awkward.
It's not like we're married.
Yeah. And also it's a first date.
But also think about that other blind date I went on where the guy saw an old photo of me. Remember I showed him an old photo of myself?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Where I was a little bit bigger in terms of my weight.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, oh, like, there's no way you got any men in college or something along those lines.
Hopefully that man wasn't offended when you're like, I never want to see you again.
Well, I'm seeing him on New Year's Eve. And again, so awkward. Like it just feels really awkward, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So anyways.
So no more blind dates for
No
you.
more blind dates.
Yeah. Maybe I should make a New Year's resolution that I should go on more blind dates.
You could go on the blind dates that I'm set on.
No, I'm good. Could you imagine? They're like, oh, it's you now.
I'd be like, same show, same season.
Yeah, you know, it's not different. We're both Asian.
You should be like, I'm a little bit nicer though, so maybe this will go better than
I would die
when what it actually would have gone.
No, I don't like blind dates. I'm not a fan. Plus, all my friends are married and they don't have any eligible bachelors. So,
like, their partners don't have anyone?
Yeah, like they don't have any friends that are single. So, you know, it's just a lost cause for me.
Do you have a New Year's goal?
I do and I don't. Meaning,
you're like, I'm non-committal.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I'm not setting any crazy goals, but I would love to travel. I feel like this year I really want to figure out what my purpose is in life. In the sense
like,
that,
what do you mean? I love this. Okay,
yeah,
tell me.
Just in the sense that, like, I want to figure out how to add value to society, but at the same time be, you know, financially independent with it. I don't know. I'm just thinking about how I can help people more. I feel like that's where I always wanted to be in life, and so we'll see. I don't know how far that's the non-committal one, because that's like, oh, let me find my purpose. That seems very broad and hard to do.
You're like, let me add value to society. I thought we were through this podcast.
We are.
Our Love is Blind recaps is that not adding value to society?
It adds value in a different way.
I'm just kidding. I feel like we're devaluing society.
Yeah. Yeah, we're taking a step backwards a little bit when we recap.
Anyways,
but yeah, that traveling, and also I think I want to just spend as much time with my niece as possible. Because she looks exactly like me, and even her mannerisms are exactly like me. I'm like, oh my God, this is a little deep tea.
oh my gosh, is she the heir of Out of the Pods?
Oh.
Like, will she be inheriting this when we're too old and gray to continue on? She goes, I'll take it up, and then she'll be recapping like season 37.
Dude, she's 4 months old and so sassy. She'd probably be like, nah, I'm good.
Like, I feel like we need like some successors.
Yeah, we do need some
There's
successors.
gonna be a day where we are just so tired and we're like, we gotta yap about the show again. I'm gonna be like, no thanks.
Also, shouldn't we save that spot for, our kids maybe?
Can you imagine?
Oh, that'd be so cute. We can make them a little chair right here and train them.
And be like, now Sasha.
Sasha.
Now Sasha, this is what happened behind the scenes.
Do you have baby names written in your notes?
I used to, like, especially when I was in a relationship.
Yeah.
I just feel like I need the last name to like really make it all flow together.
I like that.
Yeah.
I always look up like Indian American fusion names, and there's some pretty ones, but there's some wild ones. I was like, oh, but I feel like that's going to be hard. We'll see.
I definitely want to give my kids Korean middle names, and I feel like I already have those
laid out.
Yes. My word was,
I know.
I mean, not my word. The word was not coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But the first names, I don't know. We'll just have to see. Actually, one of the names I was really stuck on for like a future kid, if I had a daughter, was Laurel.
Laurel?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's so out of left field.
It is, because it reminds me of Laurel Hardware in LA, the restaurant.
But I was thinking, like, imagining, I don't know, like my grandparents saying it, where their first language is Korean, their second being American. They'd be like, like it's really hard to say else in the Korean language. So I was like, I can't.
Oh my God.
I can't do it.
Aww,
so
yeah.
Any other resolutions?
I think one more would be I want to go back to India. I haven't been back since right before COVID hit in 2020. I went in January, but I've had a hard time going back. Like, my parents have been back, but I haven't, because I've lost all my grandparents since then. And I just feel like I don't know, it's odd for me to go back. Like, there's like a
place you associate with them.
Yes. Like every time we go to India, we stay with them, and it's like our time to spend quality time together. So that's one thing I'm like, oh, I'm going to get back to my roots.
Okay. I feel like 2025 is the year of Deep D. Here she
goes.
goes.
Let's go.
I am loving these resolutions / goals. I feel like they're like achievable. Like, you don't make it happen, it's fine. If you do, like, oh my gosh, how cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, I'm like, no blind dates.
Well, I would have a dating
like,
one, but I'm like,
You're like, I want to find value and purpose. And I'm like, no blind dates. And hydrate
That's
more.
actually really honestly, I should make that another goal. Go on dates.
Like, you're fine. You're not missing out on much, honestly. If they're anything like the dates I've been going on.
Can you believe that Christmas is already coming up? Like, I don't even celebrate Christmas, like, in the religious way. I don't know why this year I'm like less stressed.
Oh, same. I was feeling really stressed, but my parents proposed the best thing ever. We aren't doing gifts this year.
I love that. I love that.
We're actually volunteering at a nonprofit organization on Christmas Day instead of doing gifts. And you know what? I was like, first of all, I'm less stressed now. I don't have to think about like, what do I get my family members? But it really came from the fact that like I was asking my parents, and my parents were asking my sister and I, like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, I have no idea. And then I go, give me a few days to think about it.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, like, if I needed something or wanted something, why do I need a few days to think about it? Like, just don't get me a gift at all.
Yeah.
Same thing for my parents. They're like, we don't have anything we need or want. I mean, I'm sure there's things like we do want.
Yeah.
Like, I would love a new, like, luggage set.
Yeah.
I don't need one.
Yeah, same. I know exactly what you mean because normally we never do Christmas presents because obviously we're an Indian family, but Christmas is like such a nice time to just spend time with your family and your loved ones and your friends. Like, but this year I have no idea why no one is doing Christmas presents, but for some reason I woke up one day and I was like, it's Davy's first Christmas ever. Even though she's not going to remember any of it, I'm like, I want to get her all the things and
this
just
is
like
your niece, right?
Yeah, this is my niece. And I was like, I just want to make it super special for her. Like, just take pictures and like make memories. And for some reason, having like a little kid around for Christmas just like brings so much happiness and joy. I feel like,
I bet.
Yeah, it's just like childish things, you know.
I agree. I feel like it's so much more fun when you have kids or like teens and you're opening Christmas gifts versus being at this age. I just feel like there's nothing that makes me like excited like a new toy did when I was younger. You know, it just so I think like things change as I get older in terms of like how my family and I celebrate Christmas.
Kids bring the magic of Christmas back, and as adults, it just is, the vibe is so different.
Yeah, like all I look forward to on Christmas is to spend time with family, but also eat my heart out.
Yeah.
Like,
yes, exactly. You know what I've been seeing a lot on TikTok is parents being so creative doing Elf on the Shelf. And I need to know these tips because when I have kids one day, I think I'm going to do this.
Did your parents do Elf on the Shelf for you?
No, I'm Hindu.
Oh.
Oh, first of all, I don't even know where Elf on the Shelf came from.
I feel like it was before my time as a kid. Like, I don't remember ever hearing about Elf on the Shelf until probably like several years ago.
That makes sense because
and I don't understand it. I think it's kind of creepy.
I
was like, I don't want to have this like little doll looking thing around my house and it's constantly jumping from place to place. So I'd be like, whoa, every morning it'd scare me.
It's literally a tactic to get kids to act nice versus naughty during Christmas time because I asked ChatGPT. I was like, where did Elf on the Shelf come from? I was like, it gave me such a huge explanation, but I was like, interesting. It's basically just to get kids in line. Do you want good presents this year? You better act right.
You know what? I don't blame the parents then.
Yeah.
I'd probably do the same thing. I'd be like, hey, look, the elf is looking. You better not be fighting with your sister today.
Exactly. It's just a way to rein them in, I guess.
Look, whoever created Elf on the Shelf, bravo. Yeah. What a great concept.
What a great trend. Like I want to know who created this because they deserve an award.
Millions of parents around the world are trying to keep their kids in line with Elf on the Shelf.
But also, can you imagine having to be so creative like every single night leading up to Christmas? That's a lot of work.
If I have kids and that elf keeps my kids in line, you know what? I would be like, that's fine. Yeah. I'll put in the work. Actually, the elf is going to exist all year round.
Yeah.
He decided not to go back to the North Pole after Christmas.
Wait, that's
I'll be like, this elf is watching all the time.
Wait, imagine the overhead work for that. There was one really elaborate one that I absolutely loved. And you know how you have the ceiling fans? When you pull the string and obviously the fan goes, well, they put snow like material at the top and they're like, the elf is like, pull for snowfall. And they pulled it and the fan goes and it's like, essentially snowing. And it was so cute. But I thought to myself, I was like, who's cleaning that up?
I know. It's like, I know the kids aren't.
Yeah.
I know that elf isn't. Yes. That's for sure. Yeah, man. Okay. I always think about like what type of parent I'll be. And it'll definitely be like a little bit of a lazy one.
I don't know.
Like I will not be doing any of those fun things. Like anything that requires massive cleanup or even like a little bit of a mess. Yeah. Like I'm simply not doing it.
It's going to be very interesting to see when you have kids because you're such a type A personality and you need everything like very organized and clean. But kids are literally the opposite of that.
I think I'll be a mean parent. I can tell I will be that parent that talks to my kid like they're my age, when you're just like, hey, buddy, like, don't do that,
Yeah, they're going to be you're going to be strict and they're going to be disciplined.
I feel like you'll be such like a loving, supportive mother.
Aw.
That's it.
But so will you. I think you think a certain way of how you're going to be, but when you have your baby, like it's going to be, the whole world is going to change.
I'll be a nicer, less judgmental person. Get ready out of the pods. Like imagine me doing the recaps after I have kids.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I understand why they did that.
They're like, kids go through things. Childhood makes a difference. Like, I am so proud of myself lately because I've been doing my nails at home this winter with Olive in June. I even got my sister their Christmas advent calendar and gave it to her early. She loves it. I'm realizing when you have really good quality polishes and tools, it makes all the difference. Olive in June's Mani system has everything you need for a salon quality manicure in one box. Salon grade tools designed just for DIY, and you're able to customize it with your choice of 6 polishes. And this polish doesn't chip and lasts 7 days or more.
I've already told you how much I love their tab press-ons. I am very busy this season and they're so easy to put on when I'm running low on time and I just want to look a little bit more put together for an event or party. Also, Olive & June's Mani system is a huge money saver. My manicures break down to just $2 a manicure, so save some money on your manicures this season.
So visit oliveandjune.com/outofthepods for 20% off your first system.
That's oliveandjune.com/outofthepods for 20% off your first system. Well, guys, let's get into the last recap of 2024. We are recapping episodes 9 and 10 of the Ultimatum Season 3.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
I know. Wow, I really need to take a breath somewhere in there. I was like,
good job. Wow.
It ended great. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, I do have to say, I don't think I'm a fan of when they release the finale and the reunion at the same time, because I needed to get my head around the finale and what happened, and I needed to absorb in the decisions that they made before just, going to the reunion and be like, oh, we all basically broke up.
I agree. I didn't like that we saw like the finale and then we went straight into the reunion. I kind of like it when the reunion is on a different day.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it gives people, I don't know, it allows us to kind of like sink in what we saw in the finale episode and then get the update in the reunion a few days later. But I wonder if they did that, they put those 2 episodes on the same day, because the reunion would have came out on Christmas Day, this Wednesday.
That makes so much sense. I'm like, why didn't you guys plan better? Like, they should have released it a week ago.
They're probably like, we need to get the season out.
Yeah, they're like, we're done for the year.
We need to fit this season into somewhere.
Yeah.
Even though 2 couples left, like we gotta just put it out.
Yeah, they're like, we need to go home and celebrate Christmas and the holidays with our family. We are not doing a reunion.
But okay, so episode 9, which was the finale, was kind of boring. Like, I was expecting there to be more drama with the whole JR, Sandy, Nick situation. Like, for some reason, I thought that JR was gonna like fight for Sandy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I thought he was just gonna like bring it up and be like, oh, like, what do you think? I don't know, like kind of push for it more, that they had more of a connection and, there would be an opening for them to end up together because, he broke up with Zaina.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're kind of like, no, we're friends.
Yeah. They were like, no, we're good. Actually, it kind of shocked me that JR didn't propose, because just the way he was talking, at first I was like, oh, he's going to propose. But then you could look at his body language. He wasn't even touching Zaina. Like, usually you're holding hands, you're hugging, you're kissing. Like, as soon as you see them, none of that. JR was just like a stone cold, like, I'm just not ready.
Do you think that the couples talk about what they're going to say prior to these meetups? Because I feel like the way Zaina reacted, like she knew JR was not going to propose.
Okay, that's a really good observation, because I didn't think about that they would talk about it, but they must have, because she was so calm.
Yeah.
Not even one tear was shed, and like not even at the, the interview that they did on the side after the proposal scene. You're totally right, though. They could have talked about it.
Yeah, I feel like they have to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even like Mariah and Caleb's proposal scene, their final meetup. I just feel like they knew that they were getting engaged in that moment.
I think it would be hard not to talk about it, especially since they have their phones.
Yeah. Even Sandy, where she says to Nick, like, what are you doing, as he's trying to take out the ring? That was kind of an indicator that they had talked about it a little bit, like in terms of where their heads were at.
Yeah. Actually, you know what though? One thing that surprised me was the way Nick like switched up though. It felt like he was still trying to fight for it. I don't know. This whole finale of all the couples was so odd to me. Like Mariah and Caleb's was my favorite, but I just feel like it was a little emotionless. You know, like there's not like throwing things. There's no like anger. It's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's why I think that they probably already knew what each other was going to say. I think people probably say, well, then why did Nick try to propose to Sandy if he knew like where her head was at? But like, think about when Shane said, I do at the altar. He knew I was saying no. We agreed that we were saying no together. And he kind of blindsided me on our wedding day. Well, not really. He told me he was saying I do, but I was like, why? I'm saying I don't. Like, might as well just say I don't together. And like, we give a speech to our guests saying like, unfortunately, this didn't work out. But Shane ended up saying I do because he thought it would give him a better edit. That is what he ultimately told me, why he said I do when we started dating after filming. So maybe it was the same thing for Nick, where he's like, I want to kind of propose to, I don't know, it's like a better edit or story. Maybe it was pushed by producers.
Yeah. I mean, he does say at the reunion that he wasn't reaching for the ring. He was reaching for a piece of paper to say something to Sandy. And I was like, interesting. And he's like, when she thought it was the ring, she kind of like backed off or her energy changed or something. So I was like, okay.
But I feel like he was still planning to, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that's the vibe I got too. Yeah. I got the same vibe. Okay, Arya and Scotty though, is Scotty really just so emotional and like said all the right things? I thought it was like really cute. I kind of got emotional watching it.
Their proposal?
Yes.
It was cute.
It was so sweet. And I was like, oh my gosh, you could tell that everything that he was saying was coming from the heart. He already had tears in his eyes before she even walked up. There was a lot of love there. And then you go to the reunion right after and I'm like, oh, just kidding, I guess.
I actually had different feelings when I saw Scotty propose to Arya. Yes, I thought it was cute, but if you think back to Scotty's behavior and how toxic the both of them are when they have conflict, I was really sad that Arya said yes, because I felt like there's no way that this 2-month experiment like fixed their issues. There's no way that all of a sudden he was making huge changes. And so I was actually really glad to see in the reunion that they did not make it as a couple. Even though you could tell it devastated Arya and Scotty too, I think they just weren't meant to be. Like he has a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they're not compatible whatsoever. I totally agree with that. But I think it comes down to the environment that they're in. Like we feel it on Love is Blind too, where all your emotions are so heightened. And in that moment, I think the thought of losing somebody, you kind of just say anything to kind of hold on to that person or to kind of even win at the show. Like the whole purpose is, oh, like I don't want to leave here heartbroken, you know? So I think that probably definitely played into it, and we'll get into it at reunion because I think they talk about that. But I feel like the show just heightens all of your emotions.
I agree. Totally. You are kind of in a different mental state during filming. But I also think that it says a lot when those emotions are heightened, because you still had those emotions and now they're being heightened. So like his anger, the way he used to talk to like Arya and even Zaina, I was like, that's really him. Like, yeah, he's kind of in this pressure cooker situation, but that is him. Like he still has those instances. And you even gathered that through Arya's conversation with her brother when she kind of alludes to the fact like, it's really hard for him to apologize. He needs like 3 to 4 business days, you know, to like get over a conflict. So I don't know. Even though it was a really cute scene and he said all the right things, you're totally right. Where it's like they want that fairy tale ending. Yeah. Like when we did Love is Blind, like we hope to get married.
Yeah.
Like when you are going through that engagement process and like through the experiment, you hope like you find a person and get that picture perfect Lauren and Cameron story.
Yes, exactly. And when that doesn't happen, it just breaks your heart and you try whatever possible to kind of hold on to that feeling or to just, I don't know, not feel the heartbreak.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm kind of surprised that more people didn't get engaged, as in JR. Like, I'm surprised that he didn't get down on one knee and was like, you know what, I'm just going to propose and make her happy in this situation and feel good about it, and then just, wash my hands of it later. I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm kind of proud of JR for not proposing, because he does not deserve Zaina whatsoever.
So Zaina did some press interviews talking about JR, and I feel like it kind of makes sense why JR didn't propose to Zaina.
Okay.
She was saying how like JR wanted to do the show to become an influencer.
Oh.
And so there was a point in their relationship where he got mad at Zaina for commenting on his photos because he told her like he needed to look single to boost his influencer career.
Oh my God, that's so messed up.
When they were in a relationship, he said that to her.
Like the on and off relationship after the show?
No, before.
Before even. Oh, that's crazy.
So I bet he did the show to help boost his influencer career. And I would not be shocked if he wanted to come off the show single, like make it very clear that he was single. So it opens other opportunities for Netflix shows like Perfect Match, or I don't know, like clearly he thinks being single will help his influencer career. So maybe that's what he wanted, like to get a bunch of women following him on social media.
I see that take actually, because that makes so much sense. He's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for marriage. And the fact that he was already married before and went through a divorce, like it's a harder thing to commit to. And yeah, that makes total sense to me. He's like, listen, if we're doing this show, I'm going to get a lot out of it if we're not together.
That's my little theory. But do I think he would have dated Sandy if she was like, hey, I want to explore things with you? Yeah. I feel like it was her that kind of friend zoned him.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into a little bit of the reunion then, because I was so surprised to hear that Sandy and JR did not hook up, meaning like after the finale. Like the year that has passed since the show filmed to reunion, that they have barely talked or hung out.
But didn't you see a change in Sandy like during the show where, yeah, they had this like flirtatious chemistry. And then all of a sudden she kind of just like drops him. It was like really weird, like she was just like over it. So I feel like she's the one that's like completely over JR.
Yeah.
I think that if she wanted to hook up like after filming, like JR definitely would have been open to it. But I feel like it was her that kind of drew the line of like, I'm good.
Yeah. Obviously, there's so many emotions though, because everyone is watching the show back. So there's so many details missing that their partners didn't tell them. So everyone's just a little bit angry.
And yeah, I know. I was shocked at how angry some of these people were, aka Zaina, Arya, and Vanessa. I loved how people came with receipts, how they said their piece. I totally get why tensions were so high because, like you said, they just watched the show and everything is really new for them. Like people discovered lies through watching these episodes.
Yeah. And it's also wild because I feel like there's just a lot of lies that were told.
100%.
And I was so surprised. Okay, I want to get into Caleb, Mariah, and Arya.
Yes.
I saw a different side of Arya this reunion. Like, I don't justify her getting so angry at Caleb for liking stories. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And I don't think she needed to come so hard for him in that moment.
I agree. That was kind of weird that she went so hard on Caleb and Mariah and just being like, you guys are fake, like blah, 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 like not genuine. She goes, Mariah, you were calling Caleb 2 hours every night.
That was shocking.
Do you blame them though? Like imagine if you were in the experiment, of course you're going to talk to your partner during the experiment.
And Caleb was so eloquent when he spoke about it. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like I should have mentioned that there was a emotional connection, but I think I didn't even want to believe it in the first place.
Yeah.
So I think that couple is good. And I'm so happy that they decided to set the wedding date to 2025 because I think they need the time because they're so young.
Yeah.
So I'm like really proud of them. But that was left field of Arya. I was like, Arya, why are you so angry?
Okay, this is my theory why I think Arya was so mad at Mariah and Caleb. I think because compared to her and Scotty, Mariah and Caleb were getting more like positive comments on social media. You know, people were commenting like, what is Arya doing with Scotty and things like that. So I wonder if there was like a jealousy component there where she had to call them out for being fake. I don't think it's fake that they kept their issues off camera and like he didn't talk about how Mariah was calling him for 2 hours. Like, you know, that's just like being respectful.
Right.
But I do think it's weird that if there was an emotional connection that Caleb is admitting to now, I know he said like, I viewed Zaynah's stories, but I feel like it's different when you like someone else and you like their stories.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like that's being disrespectful to your partner.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I can't
Like,
get behind it. I can't get behind that.
Imagine if you had a boyfriend and he had a deep connection with, let's say, a female coworker, but he has another female coworker that he has no attraction to. You can't compare that he is watching both of their stories and liking their stories because like when you do it to someone you have attraction to, I feel like it's just a different sort of action.
Yeah, I guess
like
so.
I would hate that as his girlfriend.
Yeah, I agree. But I think also at the same time, we're putting more emphasis on it where it doesn't need to be. Like, I don't think in my head, oh, Caleb is liking the stories because he thinks Arya is so hot and he still has residual feelings from the show. Like, I don't think it's coming from that place. It's more like, hey, I'm being supportive. I like you. We had a connection. I think we had a great time during this experience. And it can just be as innocent as that. You know, it's like, it's our own brains that put so much negativity on it. So in my head, I'm like, that doesn't really mean that much. So I don't know, but I see it both ways.
Maybe from his point of view, but imagine being Mariah and being like, why is my partner liking the stories of a girl that he lived with, but also had like a potential attraction, like more of a romantic connection with? It's like one of those things where it's like, I wouldn't want my partner doing that. But compared to the actions of the other men on this show, it's like it's very minuscule. Little. But what I don't like looking back is that he kind of was like dismissing Mariah's concern during the episodes about his connection with Arya. Yeah. Like kind of making her feel like stupid as if like her concerns were invalid when in fact, like they were valid. Like he did have a deeper connection with Arya than he let on. Yeah,
I think she felt it in the energy and she knew like he was kind of hiding something. And I do appreciate him saying though that like, hey, like I didn't even come to terms with the emotional connection that existed. I don't know. I'm like going hard for Caleb because I love him. I think he's just so emotionally intelligent and the most like non-confrontational. I feel like his energy is so peaceful and loving. I don't know. I really like him. But I do agree. I think he should have been more forthcoming to Mariah. Yeah. As the situation was happening.
Like Scotty even, said, he's like, the difference is that we were honest about what we were feeling during the experiment and Caleb wasn't. Yeah. I get Caleb's reasoning and justification where he didn't want to like believe that he was having that connection, but I think that's also kind of like scary when you're kind of like suppressing your feelings and not really sharing it with your partner.
Yeah, because I think he was trying to be very respectful.
But yes, the way Arya came for them was kind of crazy and kind of the way she concluded like, oh, it's because you're being inauthentic. It kind of reminded me of the way Scotty talks to her in fights where he like comes to conclusions really fast. But I feel like I'm going to give her a little bit of grace because just based on her breakdown during the reunion, I feel like she's just going through a lot.
Yes, and I agree. I don't think that we should be so harsh on her because she has like dealt with some really difficult things in the past year. And like coming down to her miscarriage and living with Scotty and then not living with him and breaking it off. Like I think
the passing of her grandmother, who was her best friend.
Yes.
You could just tell like she was emotional. She was very, very emotional. And I feel like her anger towards Mariah and Caleb was like some sort of like projection.
Yes,
I agree. She was feeling so many things.
Yeah. At the end of the finale, I was so happy, weirdly, that they got engaged. I don't know. I think I was like holding out some hope that they would work out. Weirdly, I know everyone like hates on Scotty, and I think that he does have a lot of issues. At the end of the day, I'm rooting for Arya. And
I am shocked.
The fact that she was like, oh, like I wanted to get engaged. But it's kind of crazy that she broke off the engagement the next day.
I don't blame her. I would have too.
But like the fact that she's so fearful of making him look stupid or not giving him validation and that's why she said yes is absolutely kind of crazy.
Yeah, because he's the issue.
Yes.
I have been in a relationship like that with someone who doesn't like rejection and acts out in ways, and to like keep the peace or to keep them happy, you do those things.
I know, that's kind of fucked up actually.
So like sucks. Just knowing, I think that context for their proposal scene for me also changes a lot. he has some issues.
He does, but I think he is taking accountability. So I'm not going to shit on him too hard, but I hope that he was there for her throughout this whole year when she was going through this stuff. Like, it's a really hard time, and you don't need to be adding more conflict when you're dealing with issues like a miscarriage. Like, that is a lot to handle.
It's great that it sounds like he was, you know, supporting her when she was going through all these things. But I remember Scotty on the show where, yeah, he can be supportive, but then he has these really dark moments, like the way he acts during conflict. Like, that was really, really scary. And I think that does leave like some like kind of like mental, I don't want to say like trauma, but it does like kind of like mess with, I guess, your like mental state when you're with a partner like that.
Yeah. I also would like to believe that he's sitting on that couch like just sad, honestly, that it didn't work out, that they've been through so much hardship, because you can tell even when they're like sitting on the couch and arguing, like these are fresh like things that are happening. Like, it's not like, oh, they broke up a long time ago. It feels like they broke up recently. Did you get that vibe?
I don't know, but I assume that they broke up at least like a few months before filming.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they ever shared the timeline of it all. I don't know. I think about like Scotty in press interviews where, you know, he's reacting to the backlash of his behavior on the show, and he's like, it's sarcasm. And so, yes, maybe he's putting on a good show during the reunion by not fighting back, not speaking, kind of just like sitting there and being lovely. But at the same time, like, he also didn't take accountability in these interviews that he did. And those were done recently. So it's like, I don't know. We never know someone's true colors just by like one episode in terms of like, he could be the same Scotty, or maybe he did change, but based on press interviews he has done recently, it doesn't sound like it. Yeah,
and I think that's a good point to make, is that we are going off of the edit and what we see on screen, but there's so much context missing to everyone's stories. And like, we just never know who someone is in their entirety when it comes to reality TV. And I think that's a really important point to make.
But we know red flags when we see them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's some red flags for sure. But yeah, Scotty was very quiet during this reunion.
He pulled a Ramses from Love is Blind season 7.
Yeah,
he's just like, I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna take it, keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already going through it with all the backlash on social media, and I'm just gonna sit here.
Yeah, and also he probably like sees himself back on screen too, and he's like, wow, like there's some things that I need to change. At least I hope that he does.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like it, but we'll see. I feel like the end of the year is really tough for me. There's just so much going on, like finishing up work along with all the things to do for the holidays. This is when I really need to be on top of my hair health, because I tend to see more hair shedding when I'm under more stress than usual. So I make sure I take Nutrafol consistently during this time. Nutrafol has a science-backed whole body approach that focuses on nourishing growth from within to achieve your best hair yet.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. With a Nutrafol subscription, building a hair growth routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescription required.
Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code OOTP.
Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code OOTP. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code OOTP.
But someone who wasn't quiet, Zaina.
First of all, I love that she came in with the QR code. That is
my
girl.
Queen. She's like on my nail.
Yeah. You know what's funny is this year for Christmas, I'm trying to make like sentimental gifts. And one of the things that I did was create a QR code that leads to like a video of my niece and my brother and sister-in-law, like a cute little,
very cute.
Yeah, just like something different. And I immediately was like, I need to get my nail tech to put that QR code on my nail.
I want all my receipts on my nails now. Like, how
you're like, oh, I have a story for that. Here you go.
Like insane. That was the only way that she could bring a QR code into the reunion. Producers are probably like, no, you're not allowed to bring anything with you on these couches. And she goes, say no more.
You know, honestly, we should release little nail press-ons with QR codes
Yeah,
with
be
different
like,
stories.
You guys want to know the receipt?
Yeah.
Like, here you go.
That's funny.
Wow, that was so funny. I did not realize that they lived together before the ultimatum. Like, I didn't realize they were that serious because JR was definitely, you know, having a little hall pass.
Talking about hall pass, I am cackling so hard at the editors for compiling that. And it's so funny. JR, no one said you were here for a hall pass except for you.
I know.
I'm dying.
When they played the scene of the hall pass comment, and he was like, it was taken out of context. I was like, I mean,
in what way?
What do you mean? But I totally get it where he like said it as a joke and now it's being like taken more seriously. Like that's what Sandy brought up. Like, you know, I know he was joking. So I get that part, but it's the fact that he got so mad at Scotty about a hall pass comment when he literally made a hall pass comment.
Yeah, like the receipts that Zaina brought with the whole text message thread. Going into that guys' night, JR already knew that it didn't come from Scotty. It was Aria who got it because she went on a date with JR. Okay, also, yeah, it is sad that it's taken out of context, but also if it was an isolated comment, I would be like, okay, cool. But the rest of the clips where he's literally talking so sexual,
oh my God,
that just like adds to the story. And it's like, no, I think we have the context. It's right there.
I agree. There's been some comments being like, why did Zaina stay with JR, you know, after filming, after he did all of these things? I feel like she didn't really know what was exactly going on. But also, I kind of understand it. Like when you have history with someone, it's really hard to just cut it off. I would love to sit here and be like, be a strong woman and just like cut it off and walk away. I wish I had said that to myself in multiple relationships and I haven't. I feel like obviously my most public relationship is with Shane and we dated after the show.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I saw the show, got validation from the audience that I was in a toxic relationship and then I was fully over Shane where I was like really angry and like, what the fuck? This guy totally did me wrong. And I feel like Zaina is now in that position.
And also the fact that they have the history and they're living together, even though you say no in the finale, it's not like, okay, we're severing ties right now. You still have to go back to your life. You have to figure out, you know, the living situation, find a new place. That takes time. But I do have to say though.
Sorry, I'm laughing because they still live across the street from each other.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up. The fact that she got an apartment right next to him, I think was not a good move at all. Because JR not proposing and saying, I'm not ready, should have been her way of being like, okay, I need to just move the fuck on. But I think, and this has happened to me with Kyle, where after we broke up, we still talked a lot. Like, I think it was a way to make sure like, oh, are we good? Like, you know, the show is still about to come out. We still have time, you know? So there's like that uneasiness and also like you still want to keep that emotional connection without like being together, you know? It's like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And it sucks because, you know, I think Zaina got sucked into it, but he was treating her really poorly the entire time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like, so I totally get it. Yeah. I'm glad she's free now. Hopefully she stays away.
Yeah, she's like, not his behavior on this show. Absolutely not.
Did you clock how Sandy couldn't say I'm sorry to Zaina when Zaina confronted her about downplaying her relationship with JR? Actually, Sandy lied to Zaina that she was just fake dating JR.
Yeah. I mean, she did say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But I think
she didn't say I'm sorry. She just like said like, I shouldn't have done that. You're right. But I was like, say I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I think that's her way of doing it. But again, I do think that Sandy is definitely like, I hate to use the word people pleaser because I don't know her or whatever, but like it comes off very people pleasy. Like it's unfortunate, but you're right. Like it wasn't like a full on like, I'm so sorry I did that.
Yeah. Like I felt like she was still trying to justify it.
Yeah.
And you're totally right. I think she is a people pleaser. Yeah. We even saw that during the final meetup with Nick in episode 9, where I'm like, Sandy, like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And Nick said it perfectly because he's like, your words are not matching your actions or your responses. Like, you know, like she's like, I love you. Like, I want to be with you, these kinds of things. But then she's like, no, like, I can't marry you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like a little off.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Nick and Zaina talking about if Sandy and JR hooked up was my favorite because I've been alluding to that the entire time.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't know.
You were right. They didn't have cameras or mics in the bedroom.
Yes.
I thought they did because they had it in the Ultimatum, the queer version.
Yes.
They had cameras in the bedroom. So I was like, of course they would have it here. I guess they didn't. And now I kind of believe that they hooked up in some sort of form or capacity.
Yeah. And also, not to mention, that's why I feel like they had peace with their decision of like not having a thing. Because if there's so much sexual tension and energy, wouldn't you want to feed into that after the show ended? They're like, no, we're good. Like, we did our thing. Like, we can move on.
That is totally true.
Right? They're like, they barely even touched in the finale. They're like, okay, have fun.
I'm telling you, she was just like over it after their trial marriage was done. I was like, what happened here? The only reason I kind of sort of believe it now, even though JR and Sandy are so adamant they did not hook up, is because they have been proven to be liars. Like, think about when Zaina asked JR, like, did you have contact with Sandy after the show? And both of them are like, no contact whatsoever. And then Zaina keeps like asking questions like, not even like a happy new year. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, like a DM, just like checking in. And then I was like, okay, they're like proven to be liars. Like, they're truth trickling. Like, you don't fully say the truth until you're pushed a little bit. And I was like, that's why I don't believe that they didn't hook up anymore. Well, more so that I think that there's a greater probability that they did hook up. Yeah,
especially based on like those small little short clips that JR was saying and how, I don't know, they would always keep that door shut.
Yeah.
Everyone's speculating a lot. But I think also after seeing those clips, Sandy was like upset. You could see visibly on her face that she was like, what the hell? Like, I thought I was special. Like, we had a connection, but you were kind of flirting and saying those same type of things to all the other girls too.
I don't know. I think Sandy actually uses her tears to get out of situations and gain sympathy. Like, I don't think she's like that manipulative, but I know when you're in kind of like this really tense environment, like a reunion setting where people are calling you out, I think you like it's easier to cry.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do wonder why Sandy didn't get more heat just like on her behavior. But this was really interesting. Zaina said in a press interview that she confronted Sandy about lying to her about, you know, the connection with JR. So she confronted her during filming. So it was like a filmed scene, but it never made it on air. And I have a feeling that producers and Netflix are doing the same thing that they did with other cast members in the Love is Blind franchise, kind of like protecting them because they want to use them for other shows.
Interesting.
I don't know. I have a feeling they're doing that with Sandy.
Yeah, that could be the reason, actually. I didn't even think about that because you're right. They do protect contestants who could do more for the Netflix reality TV space. So that you could be very much on point with that. But I don't know. Yeah, Sandy was kind of unproblematic, I feel like, during this reunion.
She was like problematic, but like unproblematic.
Yeah,
like,
she was just like, oh, whatever.
Zaina called her out a little bit, but mostly her energy was saved for JR, which totally makes sense. Like JR is the one that owed her loyalty and is the one that she was in a relationship with, getting onto the ultimatum. So I totally get why most of her energy is directed to JR.
Yeah, JR is... Yeah, I'm super happy because that's rightfully so. Because it's not Sandy's fault.
Yeah. I don't think Nick was going to call out Sandy that much because I feel like Nick also didn't treat Sandy well. It's kind of obvious, especially when Sandy agrees with Vanessa, which Dave and Vanessa coming up, that was so weird.
I'm so excited because I'm so happy that they came. When they said, oh, only one of the couples showed up, I was like, oh, I really hope it's Dave and Vanessa. Chanel and Micah, I think it was.
Yeah, I don't even remember them.
Yeah, they're like, nah, I'm good. I don't need this BS in my life.
Same. I was really excited when Vanessa showed up, but the way she had this like smug face as she is like going after Nick, I don't know. I kind of like viewed her more negatively than I did during the actual episodes of the show.
You mean like the 5 minutes that she was on?
Exactly. I really liked her. I even said it during our recap, our first recap. I was like, I really like Vanessa. And I was really sad when she left.
You know, I think that Vanessa handled herself pretty well. in my opinion, because I think she was respectful of Nick by not spilling too much and saying, hey, you know, this is a personal issue. Like, I don't want to bring up all the details as to why I left, but like kind of gave like a high level view of it, which I appreciated because I think, you know, she could have came harder. Because on TikTok, she does go a little bit harder.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, sure, yeah, she didn't bring it up on the reunion, but she has been all over social media sharing what exactly she was alluding to during the reunion, the personal issues.
Yeah, which was like very shocking to hear. And they're very specific things that she brought up.
You can deduce that it's probably like alcohol or substance related, like just based on what Nick is also saying too. He says like Sandy dropped him off at recovery, you know, like after the show, and like he turns to alcohol. So I was like, you're kind of
you get the idea.
You get the idea.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what Vanessa is sharing more in detail in her TikToks and also videos on Instagram. I kind of feel like it's in bad taste to share like every single little detail that relates to substance abuse allegations. Like, I don't know. But I also see like, if you were impacted by it and he caused you some sort of emotional harm, like you also have the right to talk about it. But I don't know. I'm kind of like...
No, I think it's hard because this is a classic case of somebody who doesn't have the media training, because they'll see certain comments.
Who's giving us media training?
I mean, like, I think when you've been in it for a while, you kind of understand, oh my gosh, what I say has a lot of consequence to it. But when you're kind of new to it, you don't realize how much the public like actually comes for you. And I think she probably is feeling a little down because people are judging her for leaving the show. So she feels the need to justify herself and to kind of bring in certain details that would really clarify why she left. But at the same time, I think she doesn't see the side where it could be so damaging to Nick and his mental state for bringing that up, especially if he's in recovery and doing a lot better. It's just hard to put him back into that deep, dark place again. You know, I think she's just not seeing it fully yet.
Yeah, it's tough because it does sound like they had some issues that weren't shown on camera. Like Nick even admits like, yeah, I was really rude and cold to you. And we don't know how that looks like in real life, right?
Yeah.
She was fully impacted by Nick in such a negative way. This need to tell her story. But I also struggle. Yeah, it's just tough because it's like, you know, he told you in private too. And it's his personal trauma. Yeah. I don't know. But I do think that even though I did think more positively of Nick during the reunion, it seemed like he was taking more like accountability and ownership. He's also in a new relationship. I still don't think we have like a full picture of what he's like and kind of the instability that he brings. Considering that Sandy like knows exactly what Vanessa is talking about in terms of like the ups and downs that Nick has. Yeah.
When Vanessa was talking, you could tell, like, I know Sandy asked a question like, what are you talking about? And I'm glad Vanessa was like, no, they're like personal things. But you're right. Sandy absolutely clocked in. She's like, I've had to go through this for years with him. So I understand completely.
And Sandy just seems really, really tired.
Yes.
Like, you know, when you're just like exhausted by someone in a relationship. And I was like, I get that feeling too.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I don't think highly of Sandy, but also like I kind of understand where she's coming from.
No, she's just like, like you said, she's just tired and exhausted from the ups and downs and the intensity of the relationship. And also the fact that like he hasn't left her alone since they've broken up. Like, why is he still constantly trying to keep in touch? And you know, if he is going through like things where he's going to rehab or, you know, doing those types of things, like I'm sure Sandy feels some sort of responsibility to respond to him and stay in contact just to make sure he's okay, because she at one point loved him. So I don't know, man. It's very like deep rooted. I
know. I feel like if we knew all the details, this would be such a different show. It wouldn't be this like lighthearted reality TV show that you could just kind of like watch with your brain turned off.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you really look past everything, you're like, oh my God, there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot there. But
which is why I absolutely love reunions, because whatever happens on the show, it's like the complete 180 when you're watching the reunion. You're like, oh, so that's not how it happened. That's not what you were feeling. Yeah.
But I will say I did really like the season of The Ultimatum. It probably was one of my favorites. Well, there's only been 3, but
Yeah.
like I didn't really like season 2, but I don't know, season 3 kind of brought me back.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a huge fan of the entire concept of the ultimatum. I just can't relate to it because it just could never be me. But is it entertaining to watch? Absolutely. And I think this season was definitely entertaining. It was lots of ups and downs, lots of unique personalities on the show.
I agree. Well, I can't wait for season 4.
Yeah.
Hopefully no couples leave that time.
Yeah, whenever that will be, I have no idea.
Okay, well, that was our last recap of 2024.
Aww.
I cannot believe that this is our last episode of the year.
Pod besties, we'll see you in 2025.
I know. Hopefully we'll be new, refreshed people. Yeah. Just kidding. We're going to be still the same old people.
Yeah. January 1st will come around. We will still be the same.
We also want to let you know we are going back to our Wednesday schedule in 2025. So we will see you on January 8th. We'd love to know what you thought about the season of The Ultimatum and also what your New Year's resolutions are. So please DM us on Out of the Pods, or you could email us as well.
And make sure you guys leave a review and subscribe.
See you January 8th.
And happy holidays.